What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome back to my unit review series for Fire Emblem Heroes, and today I'm going to be taking a look at Air, the Book 3 OC that we have got for free, and these are the topics I'm going to be discussing in this video, so let us begin.
You won't suffer.
Air is a flying dagger unit, so she's quite unique because of that class, and she can provide debuffs with her dagger and have really good mobility being a flyer. Now looking at her stats, her attack is definitely low, but the good thing is that with her preferred weapon and slotted skills, she can definitely hit decently hard, and she also has blazing high speed, which is amazing for avoiding doubles and for doubling units even in game modes like abyssal maps with her preferred weapon and slotted skill once again. Now, she has got pretty good resistance at base 34 along with Lithia Berg equipped, so that is really good for using ploys, and that is pretty nice for taking on dragons because her slot B skill definitely helps her with that. But the problem is that her HP pool is really low at base 35, so she cannot really take a lot of hits, and her defense is pretty bad, so she cannot really survive hits from distant counter units even if it's just one hit. Now, her mythic effect gives you plus 5 HP and plus 5 resistance in ether raids, and plus 5 resistance can be nice for taking on stuff like Veronica and for taking on Reinhardt, of course, who's really common. And the extra HP can definitely help a unit like a Versa, for example. She carries Lithia Berg as her weapon, and this gives her plus 3 resistance, which as I said is pretty nice. And if she's got more than half health, then she gets plus 4 attack and plus 4 speed, which is really helpful offensively. And she also has a null follow-up skill built into her weapon, so this can definitely help her prevent doubles from units who have got quicker post and stuff like Vengeful Fighter, which is definitely nice because Air does not have a lot of bulk to survive 2 hits from such units, so this can be really nice for taking on dragons because their slot B skill definitely helps with that, and dragons do usually run quicker post and armored dragons do run Vengeful Fighter. And after combat, you of course get -7 defense and -7 rest buff on the target and foes within 2 spaces. So if you're using a dancer with her, you can directly use this effect with her, but even another ally on your team can definitely make amazing use of this. And I can definitely see it being quite useful in abyssal maps where you can just poke an enemy unit and get the debuff and have some kind of powerful unit just break through those abyssal enemies. And if she was given the bonus from her weapon, then she deals 4 damage to herself after the combat. Now this is not really all that big of a deal because her Mystic Boost skill does synergize well with this effect and does recover the damage that she's going to be dealing to herself. And this is a really nice weapon for a unit like her, and any kind of weapon which has got an SA is probably going to be good. And her special is Iceberg, which is pretty nice with her resistance, but this can be replaced with Moonbow if you want to trigger it in a single round. Her slotted skill is Swift Sparrow, which is fantastic with her weapons effect, so in the player phase she can get plus 8 attack and plus 8 speed, which is really nice offensively. Her slot B skill is Mystic Boost, which is a new skill, and this can disable enemies' Wrathful Staff skill or Refine, and it can also disable enemies' adaptive damage from stuff like Dragon Breath, Felicia's Dagger, and Sorcery Blade. And after the combat, it does restore 6 HP, and this is active in both phases, so that is fantastic with her weapon. So she's gonna be able to recover 4 HP damage, which she does to herself with her dagger, and also recover 2 HP on top of that. So this has got fantastic synergy with her dagger, and this is definitely to be used in combination with her dagger. Otherwise you will just knock yourself out of the threshold condition range of her weapon. And finally, her slot C skill is Sparkling Boost, which is an exclusive skill, and at start of turn she can restore 10 HP to an ally who has suffered the most amount of damage out of all of the allies. Now if you've got multiple allies who have suffered the same amount of damage, then all of them will get healed up, and this can actually stack up with multiple Airs on a team, but keep in mind that this is never going to be healing up Air herself. Now this is definitely a fantastic skill if you've got allies who have to be in the range of quicker post, so it's really nice for healing them up, for healing up enemy phase units. But the problem arises when you're using offensive units or using stuff like Desperation, Brazen Skills, Wrath, Vantage, or stuff like that, because this skill will just heal them up and you don't really have any kind of control of which kind of ally you want to heal up. So this can definitely mess up some offensive builds. So if you're using those kinds of offensive units, this skill is probably not the best bet on Air, and you could definitely replace it. But if you're using enemy phase units with Air, then Sparkling Boost can definitely be nice for increasing their longevity. For example, Legendary Ike, I can definitely see him being quite useful in abyssal maps along with Air because you can just heal him up. So Sparkling Boost is a good supportive skill, but it does have its pros and its cons. And if you manage to summon her, then plus attack IV and plus speed IV are the best boons for her, and minus defense is the best bane because you shouldn't really decrease her HP because she already has really low HP pool, and decreasing her HP just means that she will be prone to getting one-shotted by even magical attacks, which is not good. Overall, Air is a fantastic free-to-play unit that we have got with pretty good offenses, and she can provide utility to your team with her debuffs and also sparkling boost. And the good thing is that she's got a really synergetic base kit, so you don't really have to invest too much into her. And Lifia Berg can help her take on dragons along with Mystic Boost, and in Ether Raid she can be pretty nice against mediocre bulk Horse Emblem units because she's got blazing high speed and pretty good offenses. And I can definitely see her being useful in abyssal maps and in general for clearing a lot of the in-game content because her mobility as a flyer is absolutely fantastic with her base kit and the things that she can do as a free unit. And she can also help you a lot in the Grandeur Battle Elite quests for the Fire Emblem teams if you haven't really done them. And before I move on to the next section, I think that's really important to mention this. Now, I know a lot of people might say that there is no need to say this, it's pretty obvious, but from the comments I've seen on my free-to-play guides, some people have definitely foddered off their Fiarm and they are now regretting that. So I think that this is really important to mention before I move on to my next section. So you shouldn't really fodder off the only copy of Air that you have got, because if you do that, then you're going to be missing out on easy extra lift in Ether Raids during the light season. And you're also going to be missing out on a lot of quests because they will probably require you to get a certain kill with Air. I'm assuming that because we did have those kinds of quests with Fiarm and she was the Book 2 OC, and we have got Air as the Book 3 OC, so that's why that can definitely happen. And Air might potentially become a permanent rotation bonus unit in either raid, similar to how Fiarm is a permanent rotating unit in the main arena. And of course, if you want to follow free-to-play guides, a lot of the guides, pretty much all of them, are going to be using Air because she's the easiest unit to get ever just by completing chapter 1 of book 3. So even a very new player can have that, so all of them will probably be using her. So you shouldn't really fodder off the only copy of Air because you'll be missing out on those things. And it's definitely your game, you can do whatever you want and have any kind of experience you would like in the game. But I can only suggest because Air is definitely going to be a really important unit. And a lot of people have been asking me if they should be merging their extra Air that they have summoned from Hero Fest or just in general with the neutral IV Air that they get for free. Now, in my opinion, if you follow free-to-play guides, then you could definitely keep the neutral IV Air aside and have another Air that you use for merges. Because with the formula that we have got, it's pretty easy to see that having 2 Airs is actually more beneficial for getting lift. For example, if you've got 2 Airs and have 3 heroes with Light Blessing, you're going to be getting like 60 lift. And if you've got only 1 Air with +1 merge and 4 other units with Light Blessing, you're only going to be getting 41 lift. So it's actually more beneficial for having 2 Airs, but if you increase a lot of Airs on your team, like, you don't really have a lot of room for countering the other units in the Ether Raids. So in my opinion, if you follow free-to-play guides, you could try to keep a neutral IV Air separate from your merge Air, and that can actually help you get more lift. On the topic of extra Airs, if you get multiple copies of her, it's definitely highly recommended to merge her for getting extra lift. But if you don't really care about Ether Raids in general, you could definitely fodder her off for Mystic Boost as her slot B skill, and that's actually a pretty nice skill which makes a lot of units really strong. So for example, we've got Alm here. He takes 5 damage from his Falchion, so he can keep his Falchion's double lion effect active as long as he doesn't take any kind of damage from counter attacks. And that's not really all that hard because a lot of times Alm can just kill things in 2 hits. So Mystic Boost can definitely be really useful for a unit like Alm. Now of course, it doesn't really help him a lot by reducing the Wrathful Staff damage or the adaptive damage because he's not a ranged unit, but I guess it can help every now and then if you're going to be facing some kind of Felicia. But it's really niche. Its main use is to heal up the HP, and it can be used with push skills like with Summer Tana. It's pretty nice for recovering that damage, but to be honest, attack speed push is really niche. And similar to Alm's weapon, we also have Ephraim, whose weapon refine requires him to be at full HP, and you can definitely go with the sturdy blow route for increasing his defense so that he doesn't really take much damage from the counter attack from the enemy, and then heal up the HP with Mystic Boost for keeping his HP full for the Siegmund effect. And now we've got builds on range units that can use Mystic Boost to completely nullify the adaptive damage from dragons. And the main example here is Deirdre or Julia with their Divine Naga Tome. So Mystic Boost definitely helps them a lot. And a unit like Deirdre can definitely run Fury, recover the Fury damage, just neutralize that as well. And Felicia can also use this really well because of her high resistance, and you can also run Cloud Mayogi to slay dragons with the help of Mystic Boost.
And now, you rest.
Air already has a pretty synergetic base kit, which is really good, so you don't really have to invest much into her, and you can simply run Heavy Blade, Sacred Seal on her, and have reposition. Now with the help of Lifiaberg and her slot A skill, she can have 54 attack in the player phase, and that can be pretty nice for activating Heavy Blade. And you can also run Attack Ploy as her slot C skill if Sparkling Boost isn't really all that good for your team, and Attack Ploy can certainly help you with Heavy Blade triggers. Her second build just uses Attack Smoke and Speed Smoke for increasing utility. You can just debuff all stats of enemies, which can be pretty nice, and you can run Moonbow over Iceberg as I said before if you want to trigger that in a single round. And because of her high resistance, you can easily run Ploys on her, and Sparkling Boost, if it doesn't really have much value to your team, you can definitely replace it with a Ploy skill. And you can also use Guide and Sacred Seal on her if you're using a mixed team.
A merciful death.
Versa is one of the best free-to-play options for Ether raids, and with the Light Blessing, she can increase her HP for Aversa's Night Tome condition, and the Sparkling Boost which Air has got can keep Aversa healthy for her Tome's condition, and both of them are likely to be used together in Ether raids, so she's a pretty safe bet if you want to confer Light Blessing to a unit. At least that's what I've done myself, and just given the one Light Blessing that we have got. And it's really important to have a Reinhardt and Bravelyn check if you're even thinking about playing Ether raids, because those two units are so common, and Bravelyn is a big threat to Air, and Light Blessing can give these units more bulk for checking Horse Emblem magical units. You can also use units who need their HP to be above a certain threshold for their weapons to be used, like Fallen Celica and Ephraim. You can definitely use them with Air, as Sparkling Boost can heal them up if they are the only unit who have taken damage in that turn. And Mystic Boost can definitely be given to these units, but you can just run them with Air. That's also viable and much cheaper. You can also run Air with units who like to be really angry and take a lot of damage with their skills like Falter or Eldigan. And with Sparkling Boost, you can definitely heal up these angry units and give them better longevity. And healers are really good teammates with Air because she's got really low HP pool. She's going to be taking a lot of damage from any kind of hit. Even from like magical units, she can take a lot of damage even though she's got pretty good resistance. So healers can definitely help her put back into her weapons threshold condition, because if she gets knocked out of her weapons condition, then she's pretty weak. And finally, you can run her on a Fire Emblem team. Fortified Flyers can definitely help with her low bulk, and Honed Flyers already makes her good offenses even better. Now as for counters, you've got a lot of common Ether raids threats like Brave Lyn, Legendary Lucina, and Surtur. And Surtur cannot be touched by someone like Air, and those two archers are really nasty, so just keep your Air out of the range of those units. And high attack distant counter units can just completely destroy Air, even though she's going to be nullifying their follow-up attack from something like Vengeful Fighter or Quicker Post. You can still do a lot of damage to her. And finally, Raven Tome users can be annoying. I've definitely seen some Cecilias here and there in Ether raids on the enemy team, so definitely try to watch out for those units. So that is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, then please be sure to leave a like, and if you haven't already, then make sure to subscribe for more Fire Emblem Heroes content. And with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.